Hi, I'm Aki Matsumura, PGA teaching professional and junior golf specialist from Matsumura Golf. And we'll coach you how to overcome your obstacles and gain momentum on your success so you can achieve your goals faster and with more fulfillment along the way. Have you ever had any of these struggles where you practice consistently, you have a consistent practice plan week after week, and you see your golf instructor, you have a team that you constantly practice with, compete with, and you play all the time, but you're not getting the results as fast as you would like to get, or as you expect to get, or maybe you get up and play on the golf course, and your rounds on the course are like big roller coasters where you get extreme highs of playing well, and one little thing that happens out there would create this big crashing down, right? And at the end of the round, where you could post a really good score, and yet come out feeling like, man, it should have been better. Or some days that you leave the course and you feel like, wow, I played pretty darn good today, and you look at the score and like, wow, I thought I would have scored better than that. And it just becomes so frustrating in a battle that it gets tiring to play, because you just don't know what the result's going to come out, because a lot of times what it feels like and the result are two separate things, and it's hard to match them up together. Or maybe you're already achieving high levels of success and shooting low scores, winning some local events, and competing and winning even national events, but just seeing your devotion, your work ethic, and your determination, there's like another level to be unlocked in your golf game, and at this point in your career, you just don't know how to do it yet. And for me, I felt the exact same way too, right? Growing up, I've been playing golf for over 30 years, and I grew up in a junior golf family where I have an older sister and brother, and we grew up in a small island on Kauai, Hawaii, where the community is pretty small. We know everybody, and my mom played a lot of golf. She had the opportunity to play at a top Division I college when she was growing up, and she brought that back to us when she went to move back home to Kauai and raised us as a family in a golf community. And so we played golf all the time. Like, golf was part of our lifestyle. Like, growing up, we either played golf or we went fishing, and that was like the two components that I did for my entire life, and I still do it to this day. And kind of thinking back of how my career started is playing it with all my brother and my closest friends growing up for 10 years, little over 10 years of my junior career. Like, I was never the best, and I was never at the top. I was always like one of the bottom few of the golfers that I played with. Even when we traveled, the same tournaments every single summer, every single year, we compete in the same ones throughout the islands of Hawaii, to compete for state tournaments, and also, qualify for national events as well. And I was always, among my peer group, like towards the bottom, right? I would have like siblings, like my brother and friends. They would be winning the events and winning state tournaments, and I would be like several shots below them, sometimes for a multi-day event, 5, 7, 10 shots behind them, and it's like time after time. But yet when it got time, when I wanted to play in college, I was able to achieve just like them, and be able to play at a Division I college and earn myself a college scholarship. And looking back, and now I've been fortunate to be teaching and coaching golf for the past 12 years, and working with thousands of players, thousands of golfers, junior golfers, and all types of golfers that come in and out over the past 12 years, have been amazing, where I look back and saw like a few of the critical key things that I start building into my coaching, and what gives all of them the success. And when I look back of how was it that I was always at the bottom of my peer group and my friends, but still could also earn and play at a Division I college, and we discussed today, we're learning the number one skill, like to level up your golf game. And as I grew up, I didn't know year after year I was leveling up, but it really wasn't on purpose. It was always because I was chasing somebody else. My brother was always rated number 1 or 2 in the state in his age division, like every single year from 8 years old through his high school by the time he graduated. And so I always had something to chase. And although at times I didn't know specifically what I was shooting for, I was actually modeling to catch him and be right on his steps every path of the way. And as we look at our number one skill is to be able to get clarity in what we want. And even though at that time I didn't know the exact clarity, my clarity was I want to be where he's at because he just shot these scores. I practice with him every day. I play with him every week. And I see how close I am. And I was super clear on where I was and how far away from him. And we kind of did that. I'd never really caught him, but I was always kind of just behind, and he kind of pull away. But by the time like he left for college, right, I kind of had that momentum going, and you know, I too was able to earn like him, and even my sister an opportunity to play for a Division I college, and you know, get a scholarship along the way as well. So you know, as we go into this little framework that I want to share with you on, you know, it doesn't matter what point in your career you're at right now. Like these are like simple little tools that you're start to implement in your life, in your practice, to give yourself the results. So the number one skill is going to be clarity. Like how clear are you with your game? And we have 4 little components here that I want to take you through to break it down on how you're going to get clarity and the specific clarity that you want. And so first we need clarity in the outcome. And so what I mean by outcome is, you know, what is it that you want at the end? What are you doing all this work to achieve? And, you know, it's going to be something like, you know, I want to win my local events. Or I want to win the national events. I want to win my high school events. I want to lead my team. I want to be able to shoot 72s. I want to be able to shoot even par for multi-day events or break par for the first time, right? And we have these ultimate outcomes, and typically, you know, our outcomes stop there, right? But we need more clarity on, like, let's say, you know, I want to win my local events and I want to be able to compete and win those, right? We need more clarity on, like, what exactly is it that I need? Like, what scores are posting in these events that people are winning locally? Like, doing a little bit of research to see, like, players in my age and in this field are shooting these scores at these courses. And I can look back at previous, you know, events to see, like, you know, round after round is kind of in this range, whether it's, you know, the winners are even par, 1 under par, 2 under par, 3 under par, 2 over par, and it kind of bounces depending on the course, and you'll get familiar with, you know, the rating of the course. And as you get clear on, like, what kind of scores they're shooting, right, then you might even get a little bit more clear on, well, outcomes of specific components of my game. So if I need to shoot even par for a 18-hole event to be contending to win, or maybe break par, like, what does my driving need to look like, right? And get really descriptive. What does my approach shots need to look like? What does my wedge game need to look like? You know, how's my putting need to look? When I'm going through my perfect round and I'm putting all of these together, like, what's that experience feel like? What's that look like? And that's the clarity that you need on the outcome that you want, right? The more advanced you get and the more skilled you get, right, the more detailed and the more little things that you pull into that ultimate outcome, the closer you get, the more detailed you'll get. So you have to know, like, what is at the end? And most of us stop just at, like, I want to win golf tournaments. I want to shoot good. I want to shoot better. I want to break par. But we don't dive deeper into, like, the specifics, right? What type of game is needed to produce those scores. So as we slide down, we're going to look at, we also need clarity in, like, our current situation here. And our current situation is something that, you know, a lot of us forget about because we're so, like, driven on, like, what we want out in the future, and we're always, like, trying to get there, that we forget that I just need to know where I'm at today, right? How am I scoring today? Like what does the last 60 days of my golf game look like when I look at all the scores that I posted and I kind of look at it on a spreadsheet and see like, oh, so my average score or my median score, however you're going to track your scoring, my score looks like this. And you take out all the emotion out of like rating, like, well, this score should have been like this if I made these putts. And I lost 3 shots here because I lipped out on these ones and I hit one out here. It's like looking at the data that's in front of you and say like, my score is 80, right? There's no like better or worse. It's averaging about 80, and if I got to get to 72, that's 8 shots that I got to shave. And also looking at parts of your game. What does my driving look like today, right? Am I hitting it 250, 220? Is my window of variance going to be 50 yards, 30 yards, 100 yards, whatever it may be? Like, you're getting super specific on how your actual game looks. How's my putting look from the ranges that I want to putt from? And you're just doing your own little assessment based on your metrics that you're working with, the coaches that you're working with, on what you guys are monitoring, but being clear of like where I'm at today, and you remove all of the emotion out of it, so you just get the data of like, this time where I'm at today. And those are like the 2 really huge benchmarks, because if I know where I'm at now in today's world, regardless of what I should have did or could have did, and I know where I want to be and what I could be, then it's super, super clear to figure out like what is the gap and what's the gap I need to fill to get to where I want to get to. And only when you get super clear on where I'm at today and where you want to be in the future and that ultimate goal, can you then build this plan to get there, right? Which moves us to our third point, which would be like, we need extreme clarity on just developing our development design. Like, what is this? So now that we have where we're at and where we want to be, like, our development design is like, what are we going to do to get there? What are we going to do to fill this gap? And it's getting extremely clear on just saying, how many days a week does this look like I'm going to practice? What is the goal at the end of each week that I need to get out? Right? What's the goal at the end of the month that I need to hit? What's the goal at the end of the season that I need to hit with this weekly practicing? Right? And then you bring it all the way back. What's the goal of the end of the day that I need to be achieving? Right? And for you to win the day, it's, all of these moments. What's the goal of the first block of practice that I have in my first session that I need to get through? And we're just not showing up, and it's designing like these very, very precise and strategic plans to get you to the end that's ever changing, right? A lot of times we have this generic plan that I'm going to practice 5 days a week, play twice, and I'll show up and I'll hit balls for an hour. You go and hit balls for an hour, then I'll go putt for 30 minutes, and maybe I'll go chip for 30 minutes, right? And then maybe I'll go play a few holes, and we just kind of put that on repeat. And within that, it's, well, I'm going to go and work on this little swing drill that my coach gave me, and I'm going to do that for the hour, and work on this putting technique and do that for 30 minutes. And we're getting pretty precise in there, but there's no outcomes of what we're trying to achieve, right? And a lot of times it's like, well, I just got to hit it better, but we're not rating the level of how clear, what's success to us. So at the end of the day, did I achieve what I was trying to do? I may have went through the motions of the drill and the activities, but did I actually get the outcome that I was looking for? And if we don't know the outcome, at the end of like the blocks or moments in our practice, then we'll have no idea if we are, achieving the outcome at the end of the day. And if we are not achieving the outcomes at the end of the day, then, it's going to be very difficult for us to know if we're achieving the outcome at the end of the week. And if we can't get the end of the week, it's going to be difficult to know at the end of the month. And then you can kind of scale it out forward to see, like, if I can't just win like the moments, it's going to be very difficult for me to win like the days. So this brings us into our last point, is how clear am I in my intentions here? And when we talk about our intentions, that's exactly like how we're showing up every time we get out and play. Do we have clarity on like what a successful world-class intention looks like? Do I know when my intention is good? Do I know when I'm just showing up? Do I know when I'm deliberate? Right? Do I have it written down somewhere on like what does it mean for me to be intentional in the practice that I'm doing? Right? We show up differently every day. Every day we have different feels. If something strange happens or unexpected happens, it changes our mindset and it changes our like emotional state, which alters your intention. And a lot of times we kind of just shift in and out of like what feels pretty good and what we're hoping to be good. And oftentimes we might finish the day and it's like, it was just one of those days again. But we get one of those days all the time because we're not that clear, with ourselves to say like, what's a perfect intention for my day look like? What's a perfect intention of this practice that looks like? What's the perfect intention of this week look like? Because if you know what those look like and you have, extreme clarity in those, then it's so easy to then look back at the end of a round today or at the end of our practice session today, at the end of the week and say like, this is what great looks like, this is what outstanding looks like, and this is how I showed up. Where can I fill the gap to show up more intentional in what I want to do, right? And a lot of the intention just starts with, like, if you have that clear picture of it, you can then, visually go through that process of, like, if I'm going to hit 30 minutes of drivers today in my practice, I'll kind of like visualize, and you can visualize for like 2, 3, 5 minutes to see like, what does that intention feel like? If I know what it looks like, can I relive it for 2, 3 to 5 minutes of what do the shots look like? What do they feel like? How I'm going to be setting everything up. So when you then spend that 30 minutes, it's the most productive 30 minutes that you'll ever spend with that driver. And when you're done with it, you'll see, oh, how close did I match up to that visual picture that I just saw and that I just visualized before my session started, or that I wrote in my journal earlier, wrote in my notes earlier to make sure like this is how I want to show up each day, right? So to sum everything up, right, clarity is pretty generalized and just being extremely detailed on what you want, but we want to be extremely detailed in these 4 categories. You want to get extreme clarity on what's the outcome, the ideal target that you're trying to achieve. Why are we putting in this work? What are we trying to get to? Get clear on where you're at now, right? Take the emotion out. Just look at the data that you have, the metrics that you're keeping, the stats that you're keeping in yourself, and say like, here's my situation now. No, if this would have happened or if that would have happened, just what is it? So now we have where we're at, where we need to fill the gap, right? And the gap that we fill is going to be the clarity with our design that we want to develop. And finally, like once we have the plan there, we need extreme clarity and how are we going to show up for these little process steps that we create in the design to make sure we go from here to the outcome that we want. So as you go through this, the most common mistakes that, we all make is like, this sounds pretty basic, pretty simple. So you might be telling yourself, oh, I know what I want already in my head, and I play golf all the time. I know where I'm at, and I work with my coach, so I already have this plan, and I'll just, show up a little bit more intentional to my practice. And right, that's probably the number one common mistake that, all of us will make going forward is we're going to try and do it all in our head. What you're going to want to do is, take the number one thing that serves you right now and spend the next, 5 to 10 minutes with getting clarity and writing it down. You get so much more clear the moment you start writing stuff down and journaling it. So spend the next 5 to 10 minutes on whatever one of these that serves you the most right now. Get clear on that aspect of it, right? If you're one of those high achievers and want to get it all, spend the next, 30 minutes to 45 minutes to just get clear on all four of these things so you can go out tomorrow or later today with, you know, the perfect plan and the perfect design to how you're going to get yourself to the next level. Thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you all on the next one.